The NBA offseason has been pretty damn crazy. Much more crazier than the playoffs, that's for sure. But we have another big trade involving the Rockets and the Clippers. And it's about Chris Paul. We already had Jimmy Butler trade during the NBA draft. We had the NBA draft. Sixers got Fultz, Lakers got Ball, etc., etc. Phil Jackson was fired this morning. And now we have another blockbuster trade. Chris Paul is a Houston Rocket. Let's look at the official trade. So here is the official trade. Chris Paul will be going to the Houston Rockets. The Clippers will be receiving Sam Dekker, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley, and a top 3 projected 2018 first-round pick. So this is very similar to the Jimmy Butler trade in a way. The Bulls knew they needed to rebuild. They got some young assets back for their star, but the Rockets, they didn't really get back any young assets. Sam Dekker is very young, however, I don't really think he's that special. Lou Williams isn't very young. And who's the other player they got? I'm missing someone. They got... I'm stuck. I'm lost. I have to look. They got Patrick Beverley. So Patrick Beverley, is like 27, 28. He's a solid player, however, he's not of it. I would take Chris Dunn over all 3 of these guys. I would take Zach LaVine over all 3 of these guys. I'd take Lauri Markkanen over all 3 of these guys. So the Bulls got much better value for Jimmy Butler. However, Chris Paul is a free agent. So I don't know how the Clippers and Rockets were able to make a trade involving a free agent. But what the report is, Chris Paul is going to sign with the Clippers, I think, because it's a sign and trade. So I'm pretty sure Chris Paul will sign with the Clippers, and he'll get traded to Houston for those 3 items. That's what I think it is. How I find this out? Well, I was doing something, and then I saw a notification from a YouTuber, and it was Chris Paul traded to the Rockets. I'm like, how did he get traded? A, free agency hasn't started, and B, he would have signed with the Rockets, not traded. I went on the ESPN website. Sure enough, top headline, breaking news, Clippers and Rockets have agreed to a sign and trade involving Chris Paul. So Chris Paul, I'm assuming, is going to sign with the Clippers and get traded right away to the Houston Rockets. So Chris Paul is a Houston Rocket, and it's not even his choice. Free agency is about his choice, but he doesn't even get to choose. Now, the biggest loser is obviously the San Antonio Spurs. I think that's kind of obvious. They would have loved Chris Paul. It would have definitely benefited them. It was the Rockets. If the ever team with Chris Paul running was the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets, I feel like they could definitely use Chris Paul because they're a very actually solid team. And I do think even without Chris Paul, they will make the playoffs next year. But with that type of veteran and all-star caliber player, I think will benefit them a lot. So the Nuggets obviously lose. The Spurs definitely obviously lose. And for Rockets, I do feel like definitely get the win out of this trade. I'm going to give them an A. I'm not going to give them an A+ because... Also, I forgot to mention they're trading their first-round pick next year, top 3 protected. They're not going to be in the top 3. That pick is going to be in the low 20s, so that pick probably won't be very special if you think about it. So the Clippers, none of these guys, I would much rather Chris Dunn, who is the worst part of the Jimmy Butler trade, over any of these. This makes the Bulls look really good. So, the Rockets, I give an A. Or an A, I'll give them an A+. Because Chris Paul is a superstar. They got him for a lottery ticket and a sausage biscuit. Now, the Hawks got less for Dwight Howard. However, I like the trade for the Atlanta Hawks because they need to rebuild. And while the Clippers need to rebuild, this is a superstar. Dwight Howard is no longer a superstar. Now, why this isn't that bad for the Clippers is they could have... He probably wouldn't... There's a good chance he would have not signed with them. So, if he didn't sign with them, they would have got nothing for him. They're getting something. Patrick Beverley, Sam Dekker, Lou Williams, and a future first-round pick, which will not be very good, is better than nothing. In most people's opinion, most knowledgeable people's opinions. That's better than nothing. Miles Plumlee, Marco Bellinelli, you could argue if that's better than nothing. Definitely Miles Plumlee is better than nothing. I'd take nothing over Miles Plumlee with that big contract. I'd take nothing over Joakim Noah, over Chandler Parsons, etc., etc. Now, James Harden and Chris Paul, I don't know how well they're going to mesh. Because James Harden, I really feel like it's more of a point guard because, I mean, he's a very ball-dominant player. However, he does have a playmaker in Chris Paul. Chris Paul is one of the best passers in the league. So he's going to feed the ball to James. James is going to get those points. James Harden's a phenomenal scorer. He was, I think, second in scoring this year. He was second in MVP voting. Chris Paul is a superstar. The Rockets now have 2 superstars and are officially legitimate contenders. So I think this is a good trade for them because they didn't have to give up too much. And while they could have got him for nothing, there's a solid chance they wouldn't have got him in the first place. So they're playing it safe, and I like it. The Clippers. So, okay, my controller doesn't work. I have another controller, so I'll be right back in a minute with a new controller. That. Now my controller's better, but now we're going to be talking about the Clippers' point of this trade. So, there's a good possibility that Chris Paul would have left, so at least we're getting something for him. Now, the Clippers, they are a very talented team. They have 3 all-star worthy players, and Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. However, they've not made it out of the second round, and both Griffin and Paul are free agents, and they've realized that they need to maybe start a rebuild. There have been DeAndre Jordan rumors, and now it seems like he's definitely going to be traded. Because if they lose Chris Paul, I'm 95% sure Blake Griffin's going to leave, and then all they're going to have is DeAndre Jordan. They might as well get something for him, right? So, what I'm saying is, I have no clue what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, the Clippers are getting something for him. I don't think a team's going to do something, sign and trade with Blake Griffin. However, if they could, that would be helpful for them. But the Clippers are realizing they need to start a rebuild. Other than those 3, they have no really young pieces. And even in the Chris Paul trade, they didn't really get any young pieces. So they're going to need a tank. They're not going to be good for a while. Their big 3 is either going to be one or none. They obviously don't have Chris Paul. Blake Griffin, I don't think he's going to want to play for his Clippers team. There were rumors about him going to the Thunder and pairing up with Russell Westbrook. Maybe the Miami Heat. Yeah. Now the Clippers, I think they're definitely going to trade DeAndre Jordan for either a young asset or a draft pick. There have been rumors about the Suns, or there were, which I don't think the Suns should trade like their pick next year for DeAndre Jordan because they're a very young team. They have a very bright future. They don't need a 28-year-old player in his prime. Especially considering they have some young big men in Marquise Chris, Dragan Bender. They're probably going to draft a young big man next year considering they have their future shooting guard, future small forward. They have their pick next year and they have a top, they have a protected Heat pick in 2018 or 2019. So if the Suns are going to have the Heat's pick in 2018 or 2019, it'll be worse if they get Blake Griffin. I think Blake Griffin's going to go to the Thunder, but he very well could go to Miami too. I think Miami's a very underrated team. They're a pretty good team, especially the last 41 games of last year, 30-11. And I actually went to one NBA game last year, and that was one of those 11 losses for the Heat. But I don't live in Miami. It wasn't like a home Heat game. But anyway, I'm very lost. I have no clue what I'm saying. But the Clippers, I'm going to give them a C. I think the trade is good, however, they didn't get any good pieces. I gave the Bulls, I think I gave the Bulls a B or a B minus because they got 3 young pieces. The Clippers got no young pieces. So I think you might as well either try to re-sign them because this isn't too helpful. Patrick Beverley, Sam Dekker, a 25 overall draft pick, and Lou Williams. Lou Williams is in his 30s. Sam Decker's like 24, but I don't think Sam Dekker isn't that good. Patrick Beverley's like 28 or 29, and that draft pick probably won't be very good. So the Lakers are getting, or not the Lakers, the Clippers are getting nothing in return. Now, I mean, they're going to get a good draft pick next year in their own pick, assuming they lose Blake Griffin and trade DeAndre Jordan, which is the next step, I feel like. They're not going to get Blake Griffin, but their next step is definitely to trade DeAndre Jordan. And they need to get something good for DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan made the All-Star game last year. Did he deserve it over Rudy Gobert? Probably not, but he's still one of the better centers in the league. He can always get you rebounds. He can always get double-doubles. He can always get you oops. He can always go for lobs. And a good team with not a very good big man could use him, like the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics need rebounding. They need defense. This guy is exactly that. He's the best rebounder in the league. And most people, including my opinion. He's the best rebounder in the league. The Celtics have plenty of assets. I think they could get him without trading that Nets pick. They could trade like their pick next year, like maybe Terry Rozier or like an Amir Johnson or a Kelly Olynyk, assuming they bring him back, which who knows. And the Clippers might accept that, because if they got barely anything for Chris Paul, they're going to get barely anything for DeAndre Jordan. That's a realistic trade. The Celtics pick next year, not the Nets pick. So the Celtics still have that Brooklyn Nets pick, but they have their own pick next year. Terry Rozier, because I think Marcus Smart might be a little too much, and maybe Amir Johnson or Kelly Olynyk. And I think both teams would pull the trigger on that. Now the Clippers have Jerry West. Jerry West is a very good executive. He was just on the Warriors. He was on the Lakers teams in like the 80s and 90s. He led the Grizzlies to become a playoff team. The Grizzlies used to suck. Now they make the playoffs every year. And then he was just an executive for the Warriors. Let's look at the Warriors. They just won the championship. They're going to win at least 2 of the next 3. And the Clippers got him. So he knows what he's doing. Are the Clippers going to be good for the next 3-4 years? No, absolutely not. No, the Clippers didn't just draft anyone. They didn't have any draft picks. If the Clippers knew they were doing this, why wouldn't they get a draft pick? I don't know. I think they should have traded DeAndre Jordan on draft night for like a pick. It wouldn't have been like the 4th pick. It would have been like the 13th pick. Even that might be a little high, I feel like. I feel like they could get not a lot for DeAndre Jordan. Like I said with that Celtics deal, Terry Rozier, Kelly Olynyk, and the Celtics pick in 2018. Watch out for that deal. Watch out for more moves from the Clippers. And watch out for more videos like this on my channel. Peace out. Come on, Eric Gordon, make that.